Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to episodes 11 and 12 of Mushoku Tensei. We're wrapping up the season. That is season 2, season whatever. I made a joke the first time we recorded this because we ended up recording 15 minutes or so, and then realized that we weren't recording. But I'm here with Jarkey Bacon.
Me, and I don't know why he said we realized, because I wasn't doing anything here. I'm just
True.
along for the ride. It's me, Jarkey Bacon. I recorded something, not yesterday, but the day before, and I didn't even record it through the right microphone. So we've all been there. If you're a YouTuber, you'd understand, unless you're perfect and you've never done live recording before. You're not super stressed out about having to record 3 cameras at once. Oh my word. Yeah, so that's how it be. But guess what? Nothing makes my day better than listening to 2 random guys speak about Mushoku Tensei.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So, Bacon, what did you
yeah.
think about these last 2 episodes of season 2?
Now let me remember what I said before, and to be consistent. And now I'm probably going to be inconsistent. I basically, I think overall, uh, it was a very nice wrap up. It felt like we started the season in a way, and we ended the season very cleanly and nicely in another way. And it kind of convinced me of the relationship between Sophie and Ridius, which I think is quite important as a
Mm-hmm.
viewer. As someone who I think I was always rooting for them. I was probably rooting for them more than the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
TBH. Um, but I'm not like a shipper, so I was like, I'm just here to see where it goes. I don't really care where it goes. But now I kind of do care. Um, I just hope that Sophie doesn't fully fall into the background. I know she's not the protagonist, but this kind of tends to like I don't know. I'd like to see how their relationship goes from here. Not be like, oh, okay, we are in love, we are married now, done.
Mm-hmm.
No marriage, only marriage. Relationships start with marriage, not necessarily end.
Yes.
I like to see like their continual growth as they continue to age. Maybe there is some drama, relationship issues, or whatever, and they're able to sort it out together and overcome. That's always
Yes.
a fun thing to watch.
They
Um,
They did tease at
yeah.
the end of the episode where Ariel was kind of saying like, "Oh, now that you're married, are you just going to go off and leave?" And it's like, is this going to be end of this chapter of the story? But it seems like no, Rudy's is going to stay and develop this relationship and see what happens, I guess. So yeah, interesting.
Okay, I was on the presumption that she would be like, "Oh no, Sophie, you go with hubby,
Potentially.
go with boss man."
Yeah.
If he did leave, I was like, "There's no way he's gonna leave without Sophie." And if he did, I'd be like, bit confused. I need some
Mm-hmm.
convincing on why that would happen. I want to be like, it's the worst thing ever, because
Yep.
I don't do that thing. I don't predict my feelings because I'll feel them when I feel.
Exactly.
Uh,
Which
but
Bacon, you did say
yeah,
before that you felt feelings for these episodes. So yep. I'm just telling
oh
the
yes,
audience.
yeah. I think also so. Another thing I brought up before, and I'll bring up again, is that these episodes, and I think I've said it for basically every single episode I've been on this, too fast, felt too fast. Apart from the last episode, where it was good pacing, but it feels like because of I maybe it could be in like 16 episodes. I feel like lots of the side characters I've just not grown to be attached to, and then have like a strong conviction towards. While it
Mm-hmm.
feels like because this is based off a light novel, I am like, yeah, I get more points of view and be able to build up my opinions on characters over time. Um, and one of these characters was like Luke. I was like, oh, my boy, where have you been this whole time? Now you're just kind of stepping in for your boy Gray. I know you didn't like him before, but I didn't really feel like his presence as a character, and then he plays quite a big role, and it feels like it's meant to be quite a character surprise moment. But I'm just like, oh, cool Chad guy. He's like that soul that guy,
Mm.
which I definitely didn't need reminding of his name in the first recording. Uh, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think there's something to say on the just the absence of point of views in this in all of the adaptation of Bishoku Tensei. They've done it a few times, a very few times. They did it once with Paul in episode 3 of season 1, where he was reflecting on the argument with Rudy, and I have a video on that. We see it once in getting Paul's perspective after the teleportation incident with him and Norn and them like growing closer and seeing how he developed his army and all that. And we also get it in episode 0 of this season where we actually get a whole episode on Sylphie. But beyond that, a bunch of point of views are left out. We don't see Eris's point of view at the end of last season. We don't get any of Sarah or Counter Arrow's point of view at the first part of this season where we're with them. And especially throughout the entirety of volumes 1 to 6 and even now 7 to 9, we don't get very much of Ariel, Luke, and Sylphie at all. There's a lot of, throughout these few volumes so far at the university, we get a lot of scenes with Ariel and Luke and Sylphie in the light novel. And to me, it characterizes Luke quite a lot as like not being Rudius's biggest fan and kind of falling into being sold by the reputation that he has of being like a bad person and everything. But yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of point of views left out, but I think it's fine. Yeah, could be better, but you know, adaptations are adaptations. You got to cut some things. I like overall this season. I think they did adaptation wise. I think they did good enough of a job, is what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's good to hear. Yeah. I mean, I guess it does encourage me to read the light novel, listen to it, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to. I guess it's like I just didn't like have a really strong opinion about lots of the characters, and so when something happens, I feel like I should have feelings, but then I don't. And maybe that's also because like I didn't binge watch the season and I kind of let stuff simmer. But like I don't have like I remember you saying Ari that you greatly disliked Ariel.
Yes, I had very passionate feelings of hatred towards her and her use of racism toward Linnea and Persona to kind of assert herself in the school, which I thought was a really cool characterization, which they left out completely almost. I think if I was to pick one character that has suffered the most from the characterization lacking, it would be Ariel, I think, in this season.
Sure.
Yeah. We got the most of her, I guess, in the finale now. But other than that, very little of her.
But yeah, like I didn't really clock like from the actual material itself that they're trying to be more political or like they're like she's kind of introduced at the start and then it's like yeah, but Sophie's the main focus and you know good Sophie should be the main focus, but it kind of leaves her by the wayside and yeah, I just don't have an opinion on their character, so it's kind of hard for me to actually like them or not. And yeah, I wonder if, because overall I enjoy watching the series. I guess I just wonder if that's similar with other light novel adaptations specifically, or if this is actually like a thing in manga, like in general. Like I don't know.
Wait, what do you mean? That enjoying watching an adaptation? What do you mean?
Oh no, like these like character. Like, do you feel like you're missing something of the characters?
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Okay, sure.
Maybe it's with like manga because not often they do a more one-to-one comparison. Like, yeah, like I guess the ones I've seen recently, like the anime I've seen recently, most of it sells me. Like I haven't felt this way like Mushoku Tensei, where there's so many characters going along in Mushoku Tensei. I'm like, I feel like I should be able to understand them all. And maybe it's also because if you're reading a book, it's easier to forget about people.
Sure.
Or like they don't really show them in the background as much, or because you know that you don't have you have less episodes or something. Like you have like there's a time limit here. I'm not exactly sure, but overall, yeah, like it's something that's a bit unavoidable, and I think after you know watching like one of my favorite mangas get adapted and everybody really liking the adaptation and having issues with it, but then overall just being like happy that it exists. Like there's even like with the One Piece adaptation, it's like, you know, okay, is it perfect? Does it have issues? Yeah, maybe. Is it exposing a new audience to One Piece? Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's up to you, you know. Like I can like you know, it can be frustrating when you have like a load of new fans or whatever, and like it's like gets more toxic. Now, I don't think One Piece fandom needs really can get more toxic. I've heard. I don't know. I've not been in it, but anyway. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that like there is a difference between being like, yes, this is the greatest thing ever, or being like, no, or just being like interested that it exists and be like, okay, that's fine. Like, I'm not too bothered by it, you know. If that makes sense.
Well, it's interesting from an adaptation point of view. As someone who like I've read Attack on Titan, for instance, and I've seen almost the entirety of Attack on Titan adapted now. And for instance, now I've also read all of Mushoku Tensei, and we're seeing quite a bit of it being adapted now. There's different types of feelings when you're watching something. When I'm watching Attack on Titan, I'm what can I say? You know what? No, swap to Mushoku Tensei. When I'm watching season 1 of Mushoku Tensei, I feel kind of proud to show this to people, to show the anime, to be like, this is Mushoku Tensei. Like it's an amazing product. It skips out on a lot of things, but production wise, story wise, like it's just as a self-contained thing, it is a fun thing to show other people. And I can be like, as a person who's read the source material, watch this. This is like something I can be. I didn't make it or anything, but I'm proud to. I don't know what. There's a better word for this, I'm sure, but it's kind of like a pride in something that has been adapted so well.
Okay,
Like
is it also like validation? Like, hey guys,
potentially.
like this, not I mean, a validation maybe a bit like a bit feel a bit pejorative or negative in its connotations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like hey people, like I know what form it was in before wasn't accessible to you, but hey, it's
Yes.
really good. Like, and now you can finally access it, and I'm excited and happy that it's good and that you're able to enjoy it. Like, there's nothing better than a
Yes.
mate going away and watching something you really like and actually really liking it. Like, and in the same way, like I enjoy going away and watching stuff and having a mate that really and like watching something or playing something that a mate really likes and then really enjoying it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then being able to share on that experience because it's not super easy. Like, I mean, I've had a couple of mates like. I've like had quite a few mates watch Vinland Saga, and they've had a wide range of reactions to it. You know, um, like it's not all like the internet would tell you, like Peakland Saga, greatest thing of all time. You know, um, but it's just nice to talk about it. But then Vinland Saga is weird for me because I'll be honest, I prefer talking about it with people online anyway because
Mm-hmm.
they're way more invested in. They've drank more of the Kool-Aid,
Yep.
shall we say, and we're all deep in this pit together. But then like something like, I guess like if I was like to suggest something like Brotherhood or something like that, where I'm not as deep in the source, but like I'm just like, yo, bro, did you remember that cool bit when so and so did this? And he's like, yeah, that's sick, man. And I'm like, yeah, high five, kind of deal.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and so I definitely feel that, but then, like for me, like watching, like okay, this is me relating with Vinland Saga, and I've kind of cut off with you with your second feeling, but like
Mm-hmm.
with Vinland Saga, I didn't feel that at all because I'm like already fully convinced it's peak, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to like prove it at all that it's good to anybody.
Sure.
I'm excited to watch it because it's just like making me feel the same similar emotions where I first read it all over again because it's just packaged in a different way, so it feels new but not totally new, and then it helps you like some more scenes more, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
cool. Now, of course, they make some scenes that hit in the manga and just not hit at all in the anime. I personally really,
Mm-hmm.
um, but when it works better for you, then you're like, oh, this is man, this thing I really love. I'm feeling those feelings again, and it's awesome.
Yep.
And it's like fun to um experience that with people again. So yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, I guess relating it to Mushoku Tensei, um, when Sylvie is freaking out about the teleportation incident at Nanahoshi, and she's like, "Haven't you realized everything that we've gone through and everything?" Like to me, that's one of those moments where I'm like, "This elevates what I remember from the source material. The emotions are so much stronger here. Like I'm glad the anime exists." Um,
Mhm.
but the second, yeah, what I was saying is season 1 of Mushoku Tensei is something I'm proud of. Something I'm like I'm glad that exists, and I would love to show people like what you were saying. Season
Mhm.
2 is a bit different to me, where I'm glad it exists, of course, like what you were saying before, where it's kind of like I enjoyed the original and now I can enjoy this version. It's definitely not something I would be proud to like show off to someone else and be like, this is the season 2 of the famous thing that I love so much, this adaptation of the my beloved Mushoku Tensei volume 7 to 9. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's kind of
Okay,
my
well,
overall
this is
thoughts.
interesting.
Yeah,
So, I I totally understand like where you're coming from there, but also like, didn't you watch all of season one before you read it?
absolutely. Yes, that is probably
So
coloring
that
some of it.
is
Yeah.
some of it, but then I'd also say I'd agree. Like, I think like the production value was like I felt like it was more wonky on this one. Like, I definitely felt like in some spots, like at least the character drawing was off.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's egregious. I think it's just like in
No,
general,
I
this kind of
agree.
thing is
Yeah.
harder to sell. I think I guess the first season, the issue with that is it's just, in terms of setting, it's just like the pervertedness, like it's just more questionable.
Hmm.
It's kind of like you're having to do more convincing of people that, oh, yeah, like the morality of the situation. More people will be on, hold on, wait a minute. Um,
Mm.
More people would be like that. But in the second one, it's like a much more close, like, thinking towards yeah, it's just slow, like character development, basically.
Hmm.
Um,
They're very,
and
very different stories from season one, the
yeah,
adventure kind of stuff that we're going on with, and now season two, which
yes,
is
yes,
much more relationship based and building kind of relationships between characters and building up characters, especially Brudius. Um,
mm,
very different stuff. Um,
yeah, and I, yeah, it's interesting. I mean,
like we're in one location for
I'm,
like what 8, 9 episodes now.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
different.
and then, yeah, and I don't, yeah, it's. I think it is definitely trying to sell you more on Rudius as a character and like making him care more. I think that's a good thing. I mean, and you can maybe like say like, all right, so we've gone through the early years of adventure when you're a young child and everything is interesting, and now on the teenager phase where you've got to figure yourself out a bit more and it
Hmm.
was like kind of reflect the feelings and stuff in you. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy though because like 3 years over the season passed, which is still a lot of time. So
Sure.
yeah, anyway.
All right. That's Mushoku Tensei overall. Now, so I don't know. Maybe you said this, maybe you didn't. Who knows? What do you think of episodes 11 and 12? What are your like overall thoughts for the 2 episodes?
Um, I think as I was happy that I like watched them together.
Mm.
Um, Episode 11 had me like cringing and like, oh no, this could be really bad, but it wasn't bad. Like if it feels like it's setting up for a big dramatic misunderstanding, and my favorite thing ever. Um, but but it wasn't, and then it kind of continued on, and like I think the all I'm going to say is that actually Ridius and Sophie need to do some squats.
Oh my god,
Both of them
true.
were like, oh my word, like Ridius. I mean, he's wide, but he's not deep, if you know what I'm
Yes.
saying. So, um, like, get in the gym and do some squats, people.
I wonder if they have gyms
I
in
don't
this
mean to body
universe.
shame. Maybe I don't.
They should,
Maybe
right?
maybe in the university they do because
Yeah.
the girl is like, I want to see buff men. I don't know.
Mm.
Um, that would totally be in line for Mushoku Tensei. I'll be honest. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, but but yeah, no, I mean like it was intimate. It was like the second episode, the first episode, I was like, wow, this is going quite fast, and then this second episode, I was like, no, this is nice. This is a good pace. This like
Mm.
taking time between their relationship, letting you sit on stuff, allowing you as an audience member to kind of get a bit less comfortable. Not super comfortable, but kind of feel ride the emotion out. It's not like it's allowing your eyes to settle on something and you have to like think for yourself. It's kind of like I don't know if this is a meme, but like some people don't like lots of people don't like silence.
Sure.
Like they always have to have something on, and it kind
Yeah,
of
the
gives you
Dragon
that
Ball Z.
silence where you're like you're having to like, oh, this is happening. How do I feel? And like wrestle with your own emotions. You can't just skip right past it, which I liked.
Yeah, there was a
And I think
very
that
long scene in episode 12 where they're just sitting in front of a fire basically, and it's just like the crackling of the
mm,
fire, very long, no music. Yeah.
yeah, and I think also the animation in 12 was normal Mushoku Tensei levels. The 11
Mm.
was less good Mushoku Tensei levels with some cool parts. Um,
There was a
but
famous
yes,
scene in episode 11. I mean, I don't know how famous it is, but it's literally like Sylphie, I think, or Fitz, I guess, is moving around, and none of the characters eating at the lunch table are like moving. They're like holding frozen with their like bread in their hand while Sylphie is moving. It's
yeah, I
like,
did notice that.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then there was some good stuff where like the Sophie character animation was good in general. Like they
Hmm.
did because it had to match the voice acting, which we did comment on before. Very good at voice acting for Sophie.
Absolutely.
Like she's describing her like okay, there was some stuff I liked. I liked Luke and Ariel's reaction to Sophie actually
Mm.
like telling her stories about that was just funny. That
Yep.
was like good comedy, like their face is it's not like just like as she keeps on talking, their face just gets more.
Yep.
It's not like they get a close up and they go Nani. It's just like in the background that she's describing it. So
Yep.
I kind of like that more subtle approach, I guess.
I agree.
It's good fun. And then you also had in episode 12 the funny moment of, oh, the snow fell off the tree branch, and now it sticks up.
Oh my god, you're so good at picking up these innuendos with the damn fountain that I never realized. I never realized the snow thing
Yeah.
either. Jesus. All right.
Did you not?
No,
Man.
I don't know why I never noticed these.
I
noticed
also,
I noticed the staff being thick. They made a joke about that. I'm like, I get that one. But,
oh yeah, that was okay. That was a bit.
What, too direct?
I don't know. No. I was like, is it cheesy? But then I'm like, no, that's like in line. It's kind of cringy. Like,
Sure.
because I think they kind of like it was kind of flirtatious, but it wasn't, and they didn't know really what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was kind of like that kind of worked, even though I was like, yeah, that is kind of cheesy. But then also that was that was quite a funny line. Just how it's translated in episode 11, where he's like, "My tent has collapsed," as he ended. Like,
sure.
I was like, that's a great way of saying it. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Mushoku Tensei, pretty good.
Perfect. All right. So
Sorry, I've talked too much, Ari, and you've done the classic sit here and listen like a
that's why I'm
very
here
good host.
to hear an anime only thoughts. My thoughts on episode 11 and 12 are that 11 was good enough. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. There wasn't anything truly terrible like in that one Batagati episode that I hated this season. Yeah, it was pretty good. Episode 12, I thought was really good. I thought it was like one of the best of the season. Like Bacon said, it's nice and slow. Took its time. It looked beautiful. Like the scenes in the forest, all the background shots looked really great. And yeah, I was glad that a lot of attention was put in this final episode, at least, or at least it felt like that. Like they kind of spent time on making this one memorable for when we finally get back to this in 6 months from now. So yeah, should we go into the recap of the episodes?
I guess so.
All right. Well, episode 11, 2U. After learning that Fitz is a girl, Rudy is walking around campus and he runs into Luke. And Luke confronts Rudy about knowing that Fitz is a girl, and Rudy promises not to tell anyone. Nice and straightforward. Then we get some Sylphie, Ariel, and Luke scenes where they're discussing the recent events where Ariel, basically Rudy ran into Ariel and Luke when she was disguised as Sylphie. So he saw them shopping, and they talk about Sylphie falling onto Rudy, and they're like, oh, he probably knows, right? Because he probably felt that you were a girl.
Hang on.
Yep.
Hold up. Ariel was disguised as Sylphie. Did we talk about this? Did I miss this?
Maybe we did. I don't. I definitely. I think it was the episode with Kyle. We talked about it, where it's remember when they're shopping and he runs into.
Yes.
Yeah, Sylphie and Luke. And at the end of the episode, they're in the library and Sylphie's like acting differently. And Rudy's just like, oh, even I could put this together. She must be disguised as Sylphie when they were shopping. But yeah.
Okay.
What did you think happened?
I thought I don't know. I can't remember my rationalization now because that makes sense. It's like overridden my reason.
Well, you could have maybe thought that Sylphie was avoiding him because he was like,
yes,
I don't know, relationship stuff.
I thought it's because I can't remember the exact timeline of what was going on at the time, but that was something I was like, okay, maybe she's like a bit embarrassed in public to be seen because it's a busy place or something like that. That's interesting. I didn't realize Ariel had this like shapeshifter magic or whatever.
Yeah, very interesting. That was something that was revealed. People are going to kill me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in an Ariel point of view chapter on her way to the Renoa Academy, they lost a lot of guards. Like they took a very big party with them, I think, when they were leaving the castle. And on their way, like a classic technique Ariel would use is like disguising as one of the either Luke or Sylphie. And I think at one point, like a duplicate of Ariel died or something, and we're like, "Oh my god, Ariel died!" And it like was revealed that it wasn't her, and it was someone hiding as her. I don't know. A lot of kerfuffles going on in that light novel, all right? That were completely cut out of this anime. Yeah, Ariel can disguise herself as Sylphie. Who knows what the rules are, but that happened at some point at least. Okay. So yeah, they're talking about stuff in this private room that they like so much. Ariel is shocked that it's taken Sylphie so long to reveal herself to Rudy, and she encourages Sylphie to finally do it. And the three of them, so Luke, Ariel, Sylphie, basically there's a big scene where they're discussing how Sylphie's going to reveal herself to Rudy. And Sylvie like tells them about how Rudy met her, and how like she was being bullied, and how she like Rudy took her clothes off by accident, thinking it was a boy, and all that. And then Ariel hatches this great plan of like going to the forest and everything. And let's see, Ariel orders. Oh yeah, Ariel also at the end of the scene orders Sylvie that if she doesn't reveal her identity, then Sylvie will no longer be allowed to be in contact with Rudy. Scary.
Hmm.
So yeah, the pressure was on. Then we
Yeah,
get the scene.
that's interesting
Yep.
characterization that you can probably dig into for sure. For
What do you think? You
Ariel.
think she's being honest there? Do you think she was pushing Sylvie to do it and she never would have cut her off, or do you think
Well,
she
that's a
actually
good
would
point.
have cut her off?
Well, I don't know Ariel because they haven't shown her in the
True.
bloody thing. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, no, I didn't
You've had a
initially
few
consider
scenes of
that
her.
she could have been lying. Yeah, no, but that okay. Now you said that. Oh, could she be lying? Yeah, I'm like, yes, that's totally it. Like, she wouldn't actually do that, probably, but maybe she would. I don't know.
Hmm.
Who knows?
How
Who
would you
knows?
describe
Well,
Ariel?
you know.
What is she to you? What is Ariel's character?
Um,
Blonde.
she is um she is a noble woman with high wanting goals that will seem strict and commanding, but actually really cares about her two subjects or
Hmm.
two bodyguards. And it works well with Sylphie because Sylphie kind of doesn't assume much of her,
Hmm.
or like feel like she owes her that much. And Sylphie is very much someone who kind of toes the line. And so they work quite well where um, like Sylvie encourages her to be kind to her, basically, because Sophie
Sure.
needs help.
All right.
Um,
Very interesting.
but then, from what I remember, like I have very few negative emotions towards her. And so when I heard that you hated her, I was like, okay, that's
Hmm.
kind of weird. But I think you initially think that she's a bit manipulative, but then they don't really play into that for the rest of the season.
Hmm.
At least with other people that you know. So, yeah,
All right. I'm sure we'll get more of her to come, unless she suddenly dies. Wouldn't that be crazy? So
yeah,
the journey. So Sylvie, she makes up a story about a rare flower that they need to get from a forest. Because Ariel was like bragging about her. No, some royal was bragging about their guard, and Ariel was like, "Oh, well, my guard's better. Let me go. I don't need a band of 4 guards. I can get 1 guard to do it, or 2 guards, or something." Um, so basically, Sylvie is going to Rudy to get help to get this grand flower, and
this feels like something that like would happen often, and so that's why it's more believable for Rudius to be like, "Oh yeah, this happened."
sure, yeah,
Makes sense.
yep.
Um,
Then, however, Rudy just does everything he can to kind of get out of doing this. I mean, he obviously accepts straight away. He's like, "Don't worry, we'll get this flower." But he's like, "We don't need to go. We can just get like Step Leader to coincidentally run into us during our journey, and they can find the flower for us." And even like when they're actually on the journey and they're going and it's about the rain, Rudy, he's like, "Don't worry, I can just put out the rain. We don't have to worry about the rain." And there's a few
it's
things like
it's
this. He's just avoiding
yeah,
everything. Um,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah, you got some thoughts? Or was that
I
just
thought it was
acknowledgement?
like it was one of those moments where you're like, "Man, Sophie is being very obvious." Um,
But not to the
and
oblivious
that
Rudy who hasn't recognized who he
yeah,
is up
yeah,
until
but that
this
was
point.
yeah, but there was like one part where I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." Why Rudius had like some internal monologue. And like kind of
Yes,
worked out in
true.
their favor. So I was like, okay, that's fair enough. Like that would make sense. That's in line with 3D. But this time I'm like, so she's a girl now, and
Hmm.
she's all ubu blushing. I mean, to be fair, it's like so explicit in anime because like, oh, but like it's only like in the light novel when he's like, oh,
Mm,
where have I seen those blushing ears before? Oh,
true.
Nani?
Remember when he licked her ear in the next episode? That was wild, wasn't
Yeah, okay, that's what he
it?
did. I was a bit
Yeah.
confused.
What do you think he did?
Um, no, licked makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's wild.
I
Crazy.
think okay, it's it is cute.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of
That whole
surprising.
thing, yeah, no, it is definitely surprising. I don't know if I have a strong opinion on this.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Rudy, the staff is thick. We talked about that amazing joke. And basically, the two of them end up in a cave. And Rudy. Oh yeah, this is what. Yeah, the internal monologue you were talking about. Rudy basically he comes to the conclusion that someone is messing with their mission. And he thinks that Sylvie must have, or Fitz must have noticed this as well, which is why she's so tense right now. Because like
Yes,
the weather was
that's
too
it.
quick.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to like get us to go here. It's like yeah, everyone's messing with us. Um, then they're in a private cave, just the two of them. I thought it was really good. I like the cave. I like the atmosphere that was set up there, like the
Now,
absence
if
of
I was
music.
Power
The
Entertainment, I'd be like,
mm,
this is like Berserk. Whoa.
true, it is
Well, I
like
wouldn't
that.
say that.
Yeah, I mean, it is also like the scene with Sarah and Rudy in episode 2 or 3 or whatever, where they're in the cave as well. Because
No,
she
clearly
also was
this
in
is
the
a
lake.
Berserk ripoff.
That's also true. It
Um,
is a Berserk ripoff. Um, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's some other examples. I don't know. Anyway, uh, Rudy takes off his clothes and dries them, but Fitz is very nervous. And Rudy turns around and he waits for Fitz to take her clothes off, but she doesn't. And then Fitz tells Rudy to undress her, and he slowly does until only her glasses remain. And then he takes the glasses off, and immediately recognizes that it's Sylphie and says, "Is your name Sylphiette by any chance?" Um, and then
that was
they
sweet.
hug and cry, and it's all happy episode ending. Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think of
Um.
this reveal? Or this like obviously this is the climax of a big build up here of like when are they going to find out? You know, and we finally got the moment. What do you think?
Hmm. Okay, I thought the catharsis of it was very sweet. Like Sophie crying that like, oh, I've been like trying to tell you, but I haven't been able to tell you. Boo hoo. I think that was what got me. You asked me last time. I don't know if I said it this time. It's like, did you feel anything? I was like, oh, I may have almost. I
Hmm.
was tearing up here. I was like, oh,
I'm
so
very glad.
sweet. But then it's also like, but then also like the glasses, like leaving the glasses on till the
Hmm.
last is kind of funny. I will say so.
Sure.
But
Okay. It's a genius
then
move.
again, I guess if you go by like what's the most private part,
Hmm.
like, but then why would you, if you thought it was really private, then why would you take off the glasses? Because they don't need to be dried, as far
True.
as I
Very
know.
true. No, but
Um,
Rudy's reading the room, right? He realizes what's going on here. He knows that Sylphie wants
oh
him to
yes, he
undress her.
does. Oh, he totally does. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, okay, no, that's fine. All my complaints are nullified. Sorry about that.
Hmm. I'm glad. Uh, Well, yep, I thought this was great. This is actually one of those cases where when I was watching this, I actually wrote up a scene from the light novel here, because this is one of the scenes where it's impossible to adapt. Because you're inside Rudius's head when he's like realizing that Sylphie is, or Fitz is Sylphie. But here is a nice passage here, right? So I reached up for her sunglasses and took them off. Beneath, I found a familiar face, one I'd expected to see. Why the hell had it taken me so long to figure this out? Her hair? Yeah, her hair was a different color. She'd had green before, but now it was pure white. But of course, people's hair changes color all the time. You could just bleach it if you wanted to, for one thing, etc., etc. He keeps going. But I kind of like the idea that just that one line about how I'd expected to see it, and it's kind of like as soon as he takes the glasses off, he's kind of realizing like I'd known all along, but not really. And I was expecting to see this face, even though I didn't expect to see it at all. Um, and it's an interesting realization that Rudy makes. It's a character trait of Rudy to kind of how can I say this? To think things are obvious once he's made the realization. Um, I don't know. You know, we'll talk about this in the future, but something to keep in mind. I don't know, some subtle characterization about Rudy, which I liked a lot. But now we go into episode 12, Bacon. So did you think they were going to have
Hmm.
sex? That's a question for you, Bacon.
Hmm.
Like, did you think
I
that this was
didn't.
going to cure his ED and it would be like um, it's like, oh, finally she revealed herself and now they're going to have sex and he'll be cured and that'll be the end of this.
I think. I. Th- um. I was okay. So initially, like, this is one of those moments where I'm not sure if I said it. This. I think I said in the other one where it's like I can't predict my emotions at the time, right? Like
Sure.
whatever I feel is what I feel. I think when I was watching this, I was like, maybe it'll be too fast if it cures him straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's no doubt in my mind that she would eventually cure him, just because it felt like he'd be making progress with her already. Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, maybe it would be interesting to, I don't know, like maybe like it's weird because it's kind of like I wasn't going to imagine that the aphrodisiac like would actually cure him. I guess
Sure.
that's my what I was initially thinking. I was like, this would be like a temporary solution so that they can bond more, but then they keep on working through it together. But then it has that scene at the end, all the way the credits basically where she comes back, and that means a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he says in that scene, "I'm cured,"
Yep.
but I don't know what he uh, means exactly by that. Like, like for me, I just thought aphrodisiac would be a temporary thing.
I think
And
it's
yeah,
certainly really interesting to resolve this major character issue of like trust in like trusting his partner that they're not going to leave him. To resolve that with an aphrodisiac at the end, it's really interesting. Obviously, I mean, when I was reading, um, I thought that it would be very straightforward, and now that his Sylphie has revealed herself to Rudy, and Rudy feels safe now. It's like, oh my god, it's Sylphie. I love Sylphie, and then they'd have sex and he'd be cured. But no, it's not that. It's just this arbitrary aphrodisiac that he could have found anywhere, right? Obviously, I don't think it would work unless it was he had that fostered relationship with Sylphie. But it is such like a, it's so weird, isn't it? It's just weird to have this aphrodisiac cure the entire arc of Rudy here. I think it works very well, but it's like a very interestingly anticlimactic kind of resolution, which is, someone has a video on that kind of stuff. But Mushoku Tensei has interesting ways of resolving its arcs, I guess. You like the aphrodisiac? You think it was a good thematic conclusion to this stuff, Bacon?
mm, I think in some way I would have been interested to like I kind of mentioned it before, just see how they progress.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like see how they deal with this together, and um yeah, I mean it depends on where Mushoku Tensei wants to go, right? It doesn't really want to spend a ton of time with Sylphie and Ryu's with their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think it would, but then I'm also like happy to be convinced that it wants to focus on other things. Like I understand that, Mushoku Tensei, it will go where it wants to go, and I'm happy with that. But I was thinking like if they do, hmm, if they do go along the relationship route, it'll be nice to see this be something that they're trying to not fix, but like keep on like a bit of conflict that like is still not being fully resolved. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like okay, what I will feel like what came out of nowhere was the marriage part at the end. I was like, oh my word, okay. And you said before, oh well, in this world maybe marriage is a bit faster, but to me, I was like, wow, okay. Uh, you had like that's not how I would. Yeah, like I wouldn't want. I guess I'd be careful with um trying to propose of how good the sex was. I know that's a bit reductive for
Well,
what
you
Rudy's
think
character arc is.
would you say that the marriage proposal feels like marriage should be a more sacred thing, is what you would feel, and it's kind not sacred, but like more important, and Rudius is like kind of giving it out so quickly? Is that kind of what we would think? Like it should be a
Yes,
bigger
or at
deal to
least
him?
I felt like I wanted more build up in their relationship. Like we've had this big catharsis of them actually getting together, and then there's the
Mm-hmm.
next part of like, okay, let's think about marriage and like let's see if they actually work together. Like, okay, they've admitted their feelings for each other. Can they work together? And then once we find out that they can work together, then we go to marriage. Um,
Yep.
but I guess this would felt a bit more, I guess, political. With like I'll offer my hand, then we're bound in marriage, and I know that's probably what Mushoku Tensei thinks of. So
Well, it kind
yeah,
of, I guess another way of saying is, I mean, the way I described it in our previous recording was it's kind of contractual in a way, maybe, because Rudy was kind of doing it as a promise to Sylphie. It's like, you help me, I'll forever be in your debt. Not debt, but like, I will forever be thankful for what you did for me. Let's get married or something like that. It's
yeah,
a transactional kind of thing. And it's an interesting, like, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't know if it'll work out. But it's an interesting foundation
yeah.
for
So
something.
yeah, and is monogamy? I can't remember if monogamy is. I guess it's medieval times, so you would expect that rich men, would have multiple wives, right? Is that a thing in Mushoku
So the
Tensei?
thing
Like,
we know
does
is
the Grey
that
Rat family have?
yeah, well, the Grey Rats love to sleep around. Firstly, but
Yeah,
for instance, what the one thing we know very clearly is that Zenith was very upset when Paul cheated on her with Lilia because Zenith is from the
yeah,
Millis religion, and the Millis religion is very monogamous and stuff like that. I guess. Well, I'm sure we'll learn more about Millis, but
yeah.
that's the one example we have.
hmm
So yeah.
But are there examples? I guess most relationships are monogamous. Like, oh my word, I'm forgetting her names. Blue haired lady. When she went home to her parents, it's just them.
Sure.
Um,
Yep.
uh, is it Nobu's parents? I don't think we saw them.
Not. Who have we seen? We know Cliff
Yeah.
is an orphan. We know Linear and Persona. We know their dad. We know, one of their dads, one of their grandparents, I think.
Yeah.
We know Sylphie had a mum and a dad. Um,
hmm
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like I guess it is a very big deal because it seems like Rudius wouldn't be likely to have multiple wives. That's what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. I guess it would.
So
Yeah,
trying
we'll
to find
see.
out.
Maybe we'll see more about religion, what marriage means in this world. How does it work? I guess we'll see. Um, I guess one thing to point out is that concubines are a thing. Like for royals, having someone to have sex with, I guess, is
Mm,
definitely a thing because Eris was going to be sold to Palemon at the end of last season as a concubine. But
mm.
yeah, interesting. You know what? I'm sure we'll find out more about this next season, Bacon, or in future
Yeah, I'm
seasons to
sure we
come.
will.
All right, back to the recap, I guess. Yeah, Rudy reflects on all of his time at the university and tells Sylphie that he loves her. Sylphie and Rudy, they kiss and they try to have sex, but Rudy's ED hasn't gone away. Here's the line: his tent has collapsed. Well, I think that's what it's here. I have the line written here, so I'm assuming it happened here. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
he tells Sylphie about his psychological illness and thoroughly apologizes, but Sylphie tells him to please be less formal. Then Rudy shows Sylphie the pendant that she made him when she was a kid, and she's really glad that he got it because she thought it was gone through all the stuff that happened after the teleportation incident. And she tells Rudy a story about how when in season 1, when Paul basically kidnapped Rudy and shipped him off to Eris, Sylvie shows up at the end of that and sees them carrying Rudius away and attacks Paul. And she vowed to be strong enough to save Rudius, and that was kind of a big motivation for her when she was younger.
Mm.
Um, which was kind of interesting. That was something that was cut out of season 1. Obviously, well, I don't know how obvious that
Yeah.
is, but
I was
yeah.
like, that's yeah.
Then the stories they share a bunch of stories as they're walking through the forest. Like they're going back and reflecting on their past and their time at the university and sharing their stories of how they came to be where they are currently, which I thought was really cute and perfectly done with like all the beautiful shots of like the frosted trees and the lakes and all that. And very interestingly, I know there's at least one shot that is a direct parallel to when they were children, which was the tree on the hill. It's like they're standing, there's this
Mm.
giant tree in the background, and the two of them are on the left of it, just like there's this perfectly matched shot from like episode 3, I think, of season 1. But yeah, I'm sure there's probably other stuff like that, but yeah, it was very well done.
Mhm.
Then Sylphie talks about how she couldn't work up the courage to tell him who she was, and she like apologizes, and then Rudy apologizes for not realizing that it was her sooner, and then he licks her ear. Crazy. Then we transition to another scene where Sylphie is reporting in with Ariel and Luke. And this is the scene I think we've talked about it in one of our recordings here. So Ariel is laughing and making fun of Rudy, and she says she overestimated him. And then Luke gets very serious and says there's times when a man can't help it. And Luke has an idea, and he runs away and then runs back with the aphrodisiac the aphrodisiac is also from season 1. I don't know if you picked that up, Bacon. I guess he kind of points that out at some
I
point.
did. I recognized the bottle. That's for sure.
Excellent. I'm very glad. It's so funny when like that's a great thing when you're watching season 1. They didn't obviously that's an adaptation choice they don't have to include, but they did choose to adapt that whole like mini storyline with the aphrodisiac. And when you're watching as a light novel reader, you're like, oh my god, that's the resolution of like so many years from now when he has the ED and he resolves it. Oh my god, crazy. So I thought that was really cool. Then he comes back with Ariel and Sylphie, talking about. Oh yeah, Luke basically when he comes back, he sees that Ariel and Sylphie are talking, and Ariel is giving her relationship advice, and Luke admits that he isn't attracted to Sylphie at all, because there's this like curse of the Grey Rats who he doesn't say it that way at all, but they like big boobs basically, and Sylphie's not built like that. Then Luke gives the aphrodisiac, and Ariel gives her monthly allowance to Sylphie. And it's like, oh, look at this. They're all friends. How cute. I guess I don't remember if I said this before or not in this recording, but just to make sure it's out there, I like Luke Greyrat a lot. We don't get too much of him. It's a shame in the anime. But this was a big scene for me where you see that Luke is, I guess like Bacon said, he's kind of like a bro. He's a good guy in the end. Like he realizes that Rudius had been struggling and points out Ariel kind of being too harsh on him, and he kind of helps him out. And I thought that was really cute. So yeah. Then we only have a few more scenes. So Sylphie goes to Rudy's room, and the two of them have they start drinking. They're sitting by the fire. They take the aphrodisiac, and it works. And they have sex. Crazy. What a climax. And then Rudy wakes up and sees that Sylphie is gone, and he's about to spiral into depression once more, just like what happened with Eris. But then he wakes up, and Sylphie. He walks. He gets up, and then Sylphie walks in. and he's all happy and he hugs her and the music gets really happy and all that, and I'm like almost tearing up. This was like the highlight of the episode, and it's great. And then we get the credits, but no actual credits. It's just like playing as they're like hugging and stuff. And then we get the post-credit scene that Bacon hates so much, the worst scene in this season apparently, where basically Rudy joins Ariel's cause, but then Ariel says, you know what, I'll use your reputation in exchange. Sylphie can no longer has to be fit. She can embrace her like feminine whatever. Like she doesn't have to disguise herself anymore. And then Rudy proposes to Sylphie, and that's it. All right. Anything to say, Bacon, before I like kind of look over and see if I have any actual notes?
Fun season.
Yeah. How about stepping back a bit, season wise? What do you think overall? We've obviously had quite a change from the beginning of this season. A very drastic change from the end of last season to the end of this season. Yeah. What do you think about this season generally?
I feel like it's hard to say, but if I like read this blind in the light novel, I'd like this part that's been adapted more than the first season.
Sure. Yep.
I think the adaptation of this season probably was hurt more because of the lack of slowness, particularly early on. But they did do well later on here. It convinced me that, well, is still helping me convince like that Mushoku Tensei can do what it feels like it's trying to do, and helps me to continue to take it seriously. I think these last two episodes were exemplary at that, and I think the first season had big moments that I didn't quite clock onto emotionally, but yeah. It'll be interesting to re-experience that with the light novel, or with the anime.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I don't know if this is my favorite season though. It's hard for me to say. Like, just like because I don't binge read it all in one go, so it's kind of like a bit fuzzy in my head, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting my feelings like that. So much has happened in real life in the last month for me as well. That's just kind of crazy. So yeah.
All right. Rudius has grown up so much, Bacon, this season. He was a little kid at the beginning. Now he's almost, I mean, he is an adult in their universe, but he's getting up there in our universe as well. Yeah, okay, in terms of my thoughts for season 2, I think it's a good adaptation. Overall, I think it's a very good adaptation. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Every week, this was probably I was looking forward to this a lot. I always got excited when it was like Sunday night, and I'm like, hell yeah, the episode's coming out. I'm very excited to see it. All the episodes for me were thoroughly engaging from beginning to end. Like they would always pass by, like in a blink of an eye or whatever. Especially this final one really went fast for me. But yeah, there's obviously an extreme low. The episode with Madagascar, I thought that was it was embarrassing how badly that was adapted. But you know what? It's an outlier this season. Everything else was, I think, adapted pretty well. I think it is. It's obvious that the production quality this season is not as good as season 1. Like it's very clear to me. I was holding out hope quite a bit because the first 8 or so episodes of season 1, they're not that great either. Like they're good enough. Like there's obviously moments of great Sakuga every now and then, but production wise, I'd say it's just pretty good and nothing too crazy. And I thought it stepped up after those first like 8 or 9 episodes, but so I was hoping that would happen similarly in season 2, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I think it kind of stayed at that same level. But yeah, in terms of the content that this covered, volume 7 was one of my favorite volumes in all of Mushoku Tensei. And I think they didn't quite nail what I liked about it, but I think they did good enough. And it seems that you and Kyle both got kind of the essence of what I liked about it, so I'm kind of glad in that regard. And the university stuff so far, it never was really this like volumes 8 and 9. They never were like a highlight or anything. Like they weren't like some extreme. They wouldn't rank in my like top 4 volumes or anything. But I thoroughly enjoyed reading them, and I think I would say that I thoroughly enjoyed watching them. So I'd say generally a very good adaptation. That's my conclusion. So yeah, let me actually see if I have any notes now. Overall, I know I talked about that. The background shots, the hill, season 1. Luke is a legend. Linear. There was this one shot in this episode 12 that I like quite a lot. It's just like really low quality art of like a background shot where Linear and Person are like sitting on a bench and Xenober is like practicing voiceless magic and like Julie's there. I don't know. I just like the way it was posed and stuff, even if it is like really like stick figure anime or art or whatever. I thought it was really cute, so I like that scene. Um,
Mm.
Luke Greyrat. I wish we saw more of Luke, Ariel, Sylphie. I've said that. Drinking together was cute. The sad stuff, Azuran nobility politics. Ariel comes out winning in the end, being able to use Rudius' reputation at the school. True. And I didn't mention this, and you can't see this because you don't see what I'm recording. But my favorite shot in this episode 12 was the shot of Rudy and Sylphie right at the end when they're standing together, and Sylphie is like smiling, and it's kind of like the lighting is a bit different than usual, and it looks like to me basically when I see that shot, it feels like a very important memory, like something the two of them are going to remember forever, like the day that he proposed to her or something. It feels like a moment captured in time. So I really like the way that last shot was handled. So yeah, that's all my notes. Anything else you want to say, Bacon?
No, I don't think I have anything else to say. Yeah.
Any wild predictions you want to make for the next 12 episodes coming in April or whatever?
Okay, so so what my general predictions are is that things will focus more on I guess plot and political dynamics. I know that's quite vague, but I think we've had ourselves an arc to explore lots of the world. We've had a lot of time to do a bit of character development and to invest our feelings into certain characters.
Yep.
Particularly the main character, and then I think now things are going to get much more complex, and a bit more sticky for Ridius as things, as things kind of unravel. I don't think they'll leave the school straight away. I reckon they'll stay at the school.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
I don't think they'll stay long at the school, if that makes sense. Like, I mean,
Okay.
I could see them like having anywhere from just one scene at the start of the next season, being like, "Bye, we're leaving," to like, "Okay, I'm gonna have one more conversation with a Japanese lady, Nippon girl, and then she'll give us some pointers on where to go," kind of deal. But I wouldn't expect it to be more than like 2 episodes, if there are. But yeah, that's what I'll say.
All right. I think these are some great predictions. I love it. I think next. I think it's what do I think? I think that they will do next volume well. All right. I have hope. I'm very interested to see how they adapt some certain things. The stuff coming up, as I always say, Mushoku Tensei gets better as it goes on, in my opinion. At least when I was reading. So I'm thoroughly excited to see where this goes. But yeah.
Can I?
You can.
Can I? Let's say, does it make sense? Can I watch your prediction video?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. I think like right at the beginning, like in the first like 5 minutes, I spoil the entire trajectory of Rudius's life.
I see.
Yeah.
Nice.
I should make like a anime only prediction like light. It would be fun to do that for next cour. Then you can watch it at the end. But no, this one you certainly cannot. But God, I'm gonna go back and watch that now. Actually, maybe I'll make like an updated one, talk about my spoiler related thoughts. Yep, crazy. Renoa University. We finally met all these characters. My goodness, I'm so glad. Anyway, any final thoughts, Bacon?
No.
Okay, and with that,
Mushoku Tensei good.
Yeah, we got no input from Klein Entertainment. I don't even know if you've seen the episodes yet. I'm sure he'll have thoughts on it. I'm sure.
He's wrong. Way.
Yeah, how embarrassing. Yeah, God.
Not the predictive god he thinks he is.
Jesus.
Way.
Yep, I'm sure he'll be pissed. He'll be like, how dare he get with Sylphie? Doesn't make sense. Ridiculous. Grooming. Oh my God, terrible. But what a shame he's not here to defend himself. But, yep. Anyway, that's it. See ya I think it's 6 months from now, something like that. So see you then.